Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Let's continue with our discussion on dawah in our dawah workshop. There are some things, some indicators that we can use to know whether a book is from God or not, whether a prophet is a messenger of God or not. And that's what I want to discuss with you in respect to the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah? So this topic is helping us to make or bridge the gap between understanding that God exists and understanding that God is one. By the way, many philosophers, including, for example, Aristotle, so philosophers of the past and present, have come to believe that there is one unique, eternal creator who is the prime cause of all things. But they didn't take this step to believing that God has revealed guidance to humanity. So the idea for them that God is a personal God, that we can pray to this God, that He answers our prayers, that we could worship the Creator, that this Creator would guide us, they didn't accept this idea. So it's almost as if there is a gap between what we have been discussing so far, which, as I said, many, including this guy, Anthony Flew, who I talked about, and I mentioned his book, he accepted this concept so far pretty much the same. He's accepted that concept. Similarly, even in his book, he has this problem of the transition from this belief to actually accepting some sort of religion. So now we've given what we hope are some very powerful reasons and some compelling reasons to believe why God should reveal to us guidance and revelation. And we've also begun to identify some type of process or some ways that we could know. How do we know someone is a messenger of God? How can we know a book, whether it is from God or not? So this is now what we want to talk about. But before we do that, let's practice, as we have been, persuading each other that there is a very powerful argument, there is a good reason to believe that we need revelation from God. So, as we have been doing before, we want you to practice with each other, just that little dimension. This sometimes, by the way, is useful even as a standalone. Meaning that a lot of people will say, look, I know there's a God, I believe God is one, I don't believe God's a man. That doesn't make any sense to me, but why do we need revelation? Why can't I just be a good person and do what I like with my life? Right? So this is a question a lot of people have. They accept all of that stuff. But what they have a problem with is revelation. So even just this bit on its own is very, very useful, having these powerful arguments, persuasive arguments to show them why there is a good reason to believe that God has given us revelation, why we need it, and why we should hope that God has actually sent us some revelation. And like I said, the only time I say we believe is I say we believe that the way that God has chosen to give us this guidance is by choosing human beings who are called messengers, who are truthful, honest, sincere, and trustworthy. What is the reason why Allah or God has chosen human beings to be the conduit for revelation? Why has He chosen messengers and prophets? What's the reason? Can anyone tell me? Yes, brother. Sadiq.
Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the messengers? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not send the message to all the people, but He chose the particular people to send all this message. And through the messenger will, receive the revelations, and they not only preach, they also practically show to the other people.
Excellent. That's exactly what I'm looking for. The reason is God has chosen human beings because they can be a practical example. If one human being can follow God's message, then psychologically, another human being can follow it as well. I mean, if we look at people who are very gifted in any athletic field, for the ordinary person, we look at it and we say, that is amazing. How do they do that? But we still know it's possible. There are many other people competing on that level as well. And if, of course, You are yourself an athlete competing in that particular sport. Everyone is constantly aspiring to improve themselves. And they are motivated by those others who are always pushing themselves to go the fastest, jump the highest, do the greatest stunts, whatever. So the fact that we can see someone else doing it, that on its own gives us a lot of confidence. Well, if they can do it, I can not only do that, but maybe I can even do better. It's just normal human psychological condition, right? If there was a Superman who we knew came from outer space and gravity didn't have the same effect on him, yeah, and he starts bouncing up and down and going fast, we'll look at it and we'll say, how am I going to have he's a Superman, right? He's not affected by the world the way I am, right? So therefore, we would not feel in any way, shape or form that we could reach his standard or that we should even bother. Yeah? So the wisdom, why has God sent and chosen human beings? So they can be a practical example. If there were angels walking on the earth, God would have sent an angel as a messenger to the angels. But there are humans, so God has sent a human being, and they are examples for us to follow. Excellent. So that's the wisdom behind God sending human beings as messengers. So this is what I want you to practice now. What we were talking about, the purpose of life, life after death. God has provided for us guidance in all matters. Also, we find we feel hunger, we feel thirst, we need love, we need companionship. All the things that we need, God has provided us. So how about our existential needs? Existential means fundamental questions about what's the purpose of life? Why am I here? What's it all for? This is what we call existential questions. So, has God not provided for those needs as well? Doesn't it make sense that He would if He's provided for all of these needs? And what is the only effective way to provide for these existential needs or these big questions? What is the purpose of life? The information has to come from God. Otherwise, we could never achieve certainty. And we had the example of the manual. The manual needs to come from the maker. Right? So let's practice trying to persuade each other. Whatever one you use, if you use all of them or if you use one of them, or maybe you have your own, you can let us know. So that's what we want to practice now. Why do we need revelation? What are the powerful arguments and the powerful reasons that we need revelation and that God should send us some guidance? At the end, afterwards, you've given the powerful reasons. You say, we believe that this is the way that God has chosen. And this is the wisdom behind it. Yeah? Okay, go ahead. Sort of expect there to be a lot of noise. So go ahead and practice, brothers. brothers and sisters, we're going to have to take a break, short break. Please don't go away. We'll be back soon, inshallah. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Let's continue with our fascinating discussion. Good? Yes. What's up?
I think the probabilities, there are 4 probabilities that God left the people to live as they want. There can be 4 possibilities or 4 options that
Keep practicing, guys. Yeah.
that God can do. One, He can leave the people to live as they want, on their will.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, He talk to everybody, one by one, and guide them. Third, what He can do that by an angel.
Okay.
Send an angel, say to people to do like this is the way of God, this is the way of. And fourth is selecting people among themselves, among people. So the fourth one is the best and nearer to logic, because the angel cannot be a model for human beings. It has not will, it has not its emotions, etc.
Yes.
And if God comes to everyone and say, then what is the mean by examination? And if human beings live as they want, then the system get disturbed. Means the whole world can destroy because of the doings of human beings. Okay?
Okay.
And if you want 100% efficiency from a machine, the creator knows what is that,
Okay.
how to use it for getting more efficiency. So who created us knows
You said
what is that.
4 possibilities. And one of them you said is that God could talk to every single individual person. So what's wrong with that?
So what is the purpose of examination? This life is examination. And if everyone is seeing God, then
Yeah, but the examination is still there. You follow, you don't follow. So why doesn't God just talk to every single person?
Iman bil ghaib, that we believe that we have not seen.
But then God will tell you what you need to know, and him what he needs to know, and every person what they need to know.
But if
Maybe that would be a better system.
why this is not better that he select among the people a man
But is
and
it
guide
not-
him?
Why? It's nice. God should talk to all of us.
So it has done. He has done that. He has select Ambiya and
But he should talk to you personally, me personally, everyone. I mean, that's what Christians believe, right? That God talks to them. So this is, okay, brothers. The brother came up with a very nice way of presenting this. MashaAllah. I might even use this. This is what I love. When I do something like this and someone comes up with something that we didn't think of, and it's even better and more effective. So I'll have to think about this. It's a very nice way. He said there's 4 possibilities, right? 4 possibilities. Actually, I like this because this deals with, or it could easily deal with, some questions that arise later. So actually, funnily enough, some of the things you mentioned, we deal with it later under contentions. But I love to deal with the contentions before someone even brings them up. So he says there's 4 possibilities. Either God would leave us alone and not bother giving us any guidance. That's number 1 possibility. Number 2, God talks to every single individual person. Right? Number 3, God will send an angel or some other non-human being. Or God will send a human being as a messenger. So, that's excellent, right? Is there any other possibilities? I think that's pretty much most of the possibilities, or all of them, right? The brother was trying to discuss. I was, of course, arguing with him to see if you could come with a really strong argument. So, number 1, why wouldn't God just leave us to get on with it? A lot of people would like that. They would say, who cares? You just be good. Live your life any way you like. Just be good. Don't harm anybody. Why do we need revelation? Why do we need rules? Why do we need guidance? So, I like this way of presenting it. It's a new way. It's a logical way. So, it's all about logic, right? So, let's think through the first one. Why would that not be the best way? for God to just leave us? In other words, what is the benefit of getting revelation? That is so much more that we would say, no, I don't think this is the best or the most rational possibility. So why would God not just leave us? He created us and He just lets us get on with it. He's given us reason after all. Yeah? Why should we not use reason to figure out how to live? Why do we need revelation?
Because everything without an order creates chaos.
Okay. So without some order, without some guidance, without some clear rules, we will have chaos. And there's chaos already, even with the rules. So how about if there were no rules? It'd be even worse, right? True? But some people would argue maybe the rules are part of what, that's what a lot of atheists, they argue, isn't it? They say, oh, religion is the... It's not true, it's a stupid argument, but that's what they say. Religion has caused so many wars, all the problems in the world caused by religion. It's not true, but this is what they say, right? So yes.
We need a non-human judge to decide what is good and what is bad. Because we human can't decide ourselves what is good and what is bad. Because something is good for ourselves is something bad for the society as well.
Yes. This is a very good argument. Actually, even more fundamental than that. Who decides what is good and evil, what is right and wrong? So if you look at the human society, if you look at human beings, that this idea, something will be good in this society and it will be considered evil in this society. Or some people may say, we are the upper caste and we should be at the top, and these people, they are at the bottom and they should be like this and they should be like that. And good for you is to behave like a good lower caste person and to be servants for us and to behave like you are worse than dogs. And if you keep doing that, maybe you'll get better after some next life or something like that. So, they could have a concept like this, but for most other people in the world, they would find this a very, very horrific concept. That some human being is worse than another or is in a different way just because of the accident of birth. Most human beings find such a concept these days not acceptable at all. We would actually think this is an evil concept. But the point being is someone thinks it's good and another one thinks it's evil. The same concept. So who decides? If you think about this in universal terms, then we need an absolute concept of right and wrong and good and evil. If we don't have some absolute concept, if we don't have, as you said, something to judge outside ourselves, then we will make up our own morality as we like. So this is a very powerful argument. Why we should just not be left. Even with our reason, also my personal view is that actually reason, as amazing as reason is, it has limitations. Even the scientific method, as amazing as it is, it has limitations. There are some things, and this is very interesting, if you study and you look into the whole field of psychology and research that they do into psychology, it's very hard to eliminate all the variables in any given experiment. Because there's so many different things that can affect the way a person behaves and the way a person thinks. And it's almost impossible to eliminate all of them. So to really see why is a person behaving like this or why is that group of people behaving like that, they can do it to some extent. But sometimes the variables are so many to do with wealth and status and mental problems and social conditions and your environment. So many things affect the human being. So I actually also believe that there are some dynamics in human life that are so complex, they are so complex that we can never actually figure out from the scientific methodologies and from reason what is the best thing to do. Because the variables are so many. Therefore, we need guidance from an intelligence that is able to see all of those variables. So this is also showing we need guidance from God. So in the affairs of human society, we have a great need for this. Because it's actually, we are incapable of figuring this thing out with our reason. It's not that we shouldn't use reason. It's just, it's beyond the resource of reason. That's what a personal opinion I have, right? So we could argue that as well. So that's a very good point. But the main point, I think the very strong point, is that who then decides what's right and what's wrong? Who decides the laws that we live by? The rich and powerful people in the society? Or if it's communism, the proletariat? So one puts down the rich, the other puts down the poor. You know, one puts down one caste, the other puts down another caste. It goes on and on. So we need something impartial. It's a very, very good argument. So this is one good argument why shouldn't God just leave us. And we could restate what we said already. Yeah? Is that God has provided for all of our needs. So how about the existential needs? What's the purpose of life? What's going to happen after we die? This is the black box. Reason cannot penetrate it. Yeah, we need someone who knows what's inside the black box to tell us. So these are all powerful arguments why God should just not leave us. So I like the way you've done that. So that really eliminates the first possibility. We've given, 4 good reasons why God should just not leave us without guidance. So how about the next one? Why doesn't God talk to each one of us individually? Huh? I mean, for example, a lot of Christians believe that. So why is there a good reason not to accept this concept? So why doesn't God speak to each and every one of us? What's the problem with that? Wajahid, what have you... no, let's try Shafiq, yes.
Okay, because we have already agreed that God is apart from the creation, so He will not come to the earth and will tell everybody.
No, I mean, why does God not send a message to every person? Yeah? I don't need to send you an email. Do I have to be part of you?
No.
No. So why doesn't God just send messages to each individual person? This is not to do with God being separate, because we believe God is separate from the creation, but He sent message to Musa and to Isa and to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But why doesn't God send the message to every single individual person? Why doesn't He talk to all of us? That's it for now, brothers and sisters. Don't forget to join us for the next episode of Dawah Workshop.
مشفق متعطف لا ينتهي بالحصر ما أعطاه رب رحيم مشفق متعطف